in the relentless current of our daily lives, amidst all the ceaseless demands and, frankly, the endless distractions, where do we truly find meaning? Is it some distant shore we're always striving to reach, maybe a serene sanctuary far removed from the hustle? Or could it be something woven into the very fabric of our present moment, just waiting to be discovered, perhaps waiting to be unveiled? Today in the deep dive, we're embarking on, well, quite a profound journey, right into the heart of an idea that really challenges our conventional notions of spirituality. We're exploring this understanding that genuine spiritual awakening isn't found by retreating from the world, or by disengaging from its vibrant complexity, or trying to isolate ourselves from its challenges. No, the deep insights from our source material today suggest it's actually found by diving more deeply, more consciously, and more fully into life exactly as it is. Our exploration today draws us to one of the most ancient and, I think, potent cities on Earth, Varanasi, also known as Kashi. Just imagine, if you will, the bustling ghats that line the sacred Ganges River. It's this vibrant, almost kaleidoscopic tapestry of life and death, ritual and reflection, profound joy and deep, deep seeking. And it's all existing side by side in this astonishing, unceasing flow. It's from this really evocative setting, and through a series of observations we'll call Conversations on the Ghats, that we've gathered the insights for our deep dive today. These aren't just like abstract philosophical points. They're reflections that hold up a mirror to our own perceptions of what it truly means to be fully alive and, well, authentically awake.
What's truly remarkable here, I think, is how the very atmosphere of Varanasi itself, it really transcends being merely a backdrop. It actually becomes a central character in this story. It actively mirrors the very philosophies being discussed. It's like a living, breathing demonstration of the central concept we're exploring, a place where the worldly and the spiritual, well, they aren't separate entities locked in some kind of conflict. Instead, they're in constant, vibrant, undeniable interplay. The city itself just breathes non-duality, doesn't it?
It really is.
Which makes it the perfect crucible for understanding these profound distinctions and ultimately the reconciliation within the spiritual quest. It just vividly illustrates that life, in all its raw, sometimes messy, unfiltered reality, is the most potent ground for awakening.
Okay, so let's unpack this core idea then. It emerges almost immediately from the source material we looked at. And it challenges a very common misconception, I think one many of us carry, often without even realizing its subtle influence. It's this idea of a false wall, an imagined yet powerfully persistent barrier between what we deem spiritual and what we consider worldly or, mundane.
That's separation.
Exactly. And a profound insight here is that spiritual awakening isn't some separate ethereal realm distinct and utterly removed from our everyday lives. Instead, it is fundamentally inextricably intertwined with it, woven right in.
Right. It's not an either-or situation.
Think about how often we compartmentalize our existence. We have our work life, our family life, our social life, and then maybe, if we're lucky or diligent, a small designated sliver of spiritual time. We might believe that true reality, the real spiritual reality, is somehow outside of our immediate reach, reserved for ashrams or quiet meditation retreats, or perhaps just for a select few enlightened individuals.
Yeah, like it's something over there.
Precisely. But the wisdom gleaned from these conversations on the Ghats suggests a really radical reframe. It suggests that the so-called everyday life is not a hindrance to awakening. It's not an obstacle to overcome, but is in fact the very foundation upon which awakening is built.
The actual ground.
The actual ground. It's not about escaping the crowd or the immediate thrills and challenges or disengaging from active participation in life, whether that's the bustle of a crowded market or, the intimate quiet moments of a family dinner. No, the awakening is to be recognized, to be experienced within those very experiences. It's about being fully present, fully engaged, right where you are with whatever is arising in that moment.
This immediately raises a really crucial question for all of us, doesn't it? If our primary spiritual impulse is to constantly seek to escape the normal, whatever we define that as, if our journey is defined by this desperate attempt to run away from the perceived imperfections or demands of daily existence, are we not, in essence, just trying to escape ourselves?
That's a powerful point.
The core revelation here, coming from these insights shared on the Ghats, is that you simply cannot run away from life as long as you are alive. You just can't. You are inherently, fundamentally, a part of this world, interconnected with its very fabric.
There's no real outside.
Exactly. Even in a monastic existence, even if one were to try and insulate themselves completely from the noise and demands of society, one remains intrinsically connected to the ebb and flow of existence. The world isn't something out there to be avoided or transcended in isolation. It is the very context and, well, the content of our being.
So this understanding, it just elegantly dismantles the idea that spirituality is something you add to your life like an accessory maybe?
Right, like a hobby.
Yeah, rather than something you uncover, realize, and live within it. It's already here.
Precisely. It shifts the whole perspective.
This brings us, quite naturally, to a pivotal observation in the source material. It's beautifully illustrated by a really powerful and profound metaphor. We are not separate, like an insulated coconut, perfectly self-contained and isolated from everything around it, untouched by the outside world.
I like that image, the coconut.
Yeah, it's very distinct, right? But the profound image offered instead is that we are drops of water into the Ganges.
Oh, okay. That's different.
Very different. This imagery speaks volumes about our individual existence and our profound, undeniable connection to the whole. So what does it truly imply about our individual selves? About each of us being these inseparable parts of something so vast, so ancient, and so continuously flowing?
Well, it immediately challenges that whole notion of isolation, doesn't it? The idea that we're fundamentally alone or separate.
Completely. If we are truly drops in the Ganges, then our individual joys and our pains, they're not isolated events. They're not anomalies that disrupt our spiritual path or signify some kind of failure.
Right, they're just part of the flow.
They're part and parcel of the river's flow. Think about the Ganges itself. When there's a flood, what happens? There's mud.
It gets messy.
The river gets turbulent, carries debris, it churns up the earth. Well, less than pristine, right?
Yeah, something.
But even then, even in the midst of that turbulence, beneath the surface, there's still the clean, pure water of the Ganges. Its essential nature remains.
Okay, I see where this is going.
So this metaphor asks us to consider the immense power and actually the liberation in accepting that joy and pain, clarity and confusion, comfort and discomfort. They are not obstacles to spirituality.
They're not roadblocks.
Not at all. They are, in fact, integral, inseparable parts of the same sacred river of life. They flow together, they arise and pass away within the same unified current.
So this insight really frees us, doesn't it? It liberates us from that exhausting, often futile pursuit of a perpetually pristine, problem-free existence as some kind of prerequisite for spiritual growth.
Exactly. It's an invitation to find the sacred in the very turbulence, not just when the waters are calm.
Building on that point then, what this really underscores is the recognition that every single experience, every single emotion, whether it feels pleasant or challenging, whether it conforms to our conventional expectations of what is spiritual or not, it holds the undeniable potential for spiritual insight.
Every single
one. It strips away the immense pressure to always be good or pure or perfectly composed to be considered spiritual.
Which is a huge relief for most of us, I imagine.
Absolutely. Instead, it extends this expansive invitation to see the inherent sacredness in all aspects of our existence, even the messy ones, the painful ones, and the seemingly mundane ones. This powerfully challenges the very notion of having a separate spiritual practice versus daily life. It suggests that life itself, lived consciously, is the practice.
Life is the practice.
Yes. It's the understanding that the divine isn't somewhere else, hidden away or waiting to be found only in ideal conditions. It's precisely here, right now, in the midst of it all. And this insight isn't about mere tolerance, like just putting up with difficulty. It's about active engagement and a really profound shift in perception.
This profound understanding, then, leads us directly to the philosophical heart of our deep dive today, which is the distinction and also, crucially, the potential for reconciliation between two great philosophies of non-duality.
Right, the two main paths mentioned.
Exactly. Our source material, specifically these conversations on the Ghats, highlights a really compelling comparison, or perhaps more accurately, the necessary balance between these two profound perspectives. While they both ultimately aim for the same essential truth, the realization of ultimate oneness, they approach it through significantly different methodologies and, well, practices.
Different ways up the same mountain, perhaps?
That's a good way to put it. So our source articulates one of these perspectives, often associated with what is broadly called the tantric path, with remarkable eloquence. This approach emphasizes that spirituality is not about ignoring the muddy parts of life, the challenges, the discomfort, the imperfections, the very things that make us wince or resist or try to avoid.
Stuff we usually try to push away.
Exactly. Instead, it's about learning to see the pure, even amidst difficult circumstances. It's about cultivating a certain kind of vision, It suggests that we don't have to wait for ideal conditions. We don't have to wait for a quiet retreat to a mountain cave, or for all our problems to magically disappear, to find peace or clarity or genuine spiritual connection.
So the purity isn't something external that we find when the mud is gone.
No, it's something we cultivate the ability to perceive within the mud itself, right in the midst of the perceived chaos.
Okay, that's a significant shift.
It is, and this immediately raises an important question for you, our listener, to consider in your own life. Do we constantly find ourselves waiting for those perfect, clean, ideal conditions to finally begin our spiritual journey? Or maybe just to find peace, joy, or genuine connection?
That tendency to postpone.
Right. Do we postpone our inner work until circumstances align perfectly? Until we have more time, less stress, a different job, a quieter environment, fewer obligations? The list goes on.
It always
Okay.
does.
Or can we cultivate the vision, that inner capacity to find that sense of purity and peace right here, right now, wherever we are, with whatever life is presenting to us in this moment?
It's a really compelling invitation, isn't it? To shift our perspective from waiting for external change to actively cultivating internal perception. It's a powerful call to radical presence.
Radical presence, I like that.
And what's truly fascinating about this approach, this tantric perspective, is the active engagement it rigorously demands. It's not a passive acceptance of difficulty or just resigning yourself to circumstance.
They're not passive.
Not at all. Instead, it's an active cultivation of perception. It's a deliberate and conscious choice to reframe how we see our circumstances, and indeed how we see ourselves within them. It's about being able to discern the essence, that clean water, even when the flood brings mud into your experience.
It requires effort, attention.
Definitely. This represents a fundamental shift away from avoidance towards profound integration. This means not merely tolerating what is difficult, but actively seeking the underlying truth, or the inherent sacredness, or maybe the transformative lesson within it.
Seeing it as part of the whole picture.
Exactly. Seeing difficulty as part of the complete, interconnected tapestry of existence rather than something to be cut out, discarded, or transcended in a way that separates us from life. It's really a path of robust and courageous engagement with reality exactly as it is.
Okay. So to highlight this distinction even further, our source implicitly contrasts this embracing approach with another, perhaps more traditional path. It hints at its reputation for being more ascetic, maybe more about renunciation or separation from the world's perceived illusions.
Often associated with Advaita Vedanta, perhaps.
That's often the association made, yes.
Yeah.
And it's crucial to emphasize, again, both paths ultimately lead to non-duality, that realization of ultimate oneness, the understanding that there's no fundamental division between self and ultimate reality.
Same goal, different route.
Exactly. But their methodologies differ significantly in how they engage with the world and indeed with things like suffering, desire, and action itself.
It's important to stress, like you said, this isn't about one path being inherently superior to the other.
Not at all. It's about recognizing the unique flavor, the emphasis, and the practical application of each in the journey towards that same truth.
Right. Understanding the nuances.
So one might suggest, for instance, drawing from the source's implication, that to experience the clean water in that more traditional sense, one might be advised to wait for 3 months when the rain is over, when there is no flood.
Seek the pristine conditions first.
Precisely. It implies seeking those ideal conditions before engaging in deeper spiritual work or expecting profound clarity. It emphasizes a transcendence from the worldly to realize the unchanging, pure awareness that lies beyond it.
A kind of separation to find purity?
Perhaps. And again, this isn't a judgment against that approach. It has led countless seekers to profound liberation. Instead, it's simply an observation of two different methodologies, striving for the same ultimate truth. In fact, the speaker in our source material explicitly states their lifelong quest has been to reconcile and balance and also distinguish these two great non-dualities.
So understanding both was key for him.
Exactly, pointing to the profound importance of understanding both perspectives, recognizing their common ground, but also appreciating their distinct yet equally valid applications in the vast spiritual landscape.
What this truly underscores, then, if we connect it to the bigger picture of spiritual realization, is that profound question of the how. How do we get there? Is liberation found through transcendence of life itself, by rising above its conditions, withdrawing from its engagements, and perhaps seeing it as inherently illusory or less real? Or is it found through a deeper, more radical transcendence within life?
The emphasis on within.
Yes. By engaging with life so fully and perceiving it so clearly that its apparent limitations, its suffering, its distinctions, they just dissolve, revealing the underlying unity. The source material, particularly through the lens of these Varanasi conversations, seems to nudge us strongly towards the latter.
You think so?
I think it suggests a path where everyday life is the life within that same foundation of awakening. It posits that the sacred isn't hidden away in some purified realm, accessible only to the chosen few, but rather it's revealed in the very fabric of our lived experience, moment by moment, in every breath and every interaction.
It's an invitation, then, to find the divine not just in the temple or on the meditation cushion.
But everywhere.
Yeah.
In the marketplace, in the family home, within the challenges themselves.
Okay, so moving from the conceptual, the philosophical, to the deeply personal. Our deep dive now takes a significant turn, following the narrative arc of the speaker's own journey as recounted in the source. We first encounter him as, well, a relatively naive young man arriving in Varanasi back in 1986.
Like so many seekers before him.
Exactly, like countless pilgrims who have journeyed to this ancient city for centuries.
Yeah.
And he describes the very first thing he did. He dipped into the sacred Ganges River. And his expectation, what was he hoping for?
Let me guess. Something immediate.
Instant miracles. His words. He was seeking a quick fix, an immediate solution to all his problems, a sudden, dramatic spiritual transformation that would somehow bypass any deeper internal work.
Ah, the classic desire for a magic bullet.
Isn't it? It's such a relatable image of youthful expectation. A desire for external salvation, a hope that a sacred place or a specific ritual can somehow magically provide immediate enlightenment.
And many of us, I suspect, in our own spiritual or personal development journeys, often begin with a similar yearning for that instant miracle, that sudden breakthrough that changes everything.
Absolutely. Now contrast that youthful seeker with the man who returns to Varanasi decades later. He returns after a lifetime of deep study, rigorous philosophical exploration, and just profound lived experience.
So a very different person arriving this time.
In many ways, yes. The Varanasi he remembered physically isn't quite the same. The ghats have shifted, the alleyways are altered, and perhaps most significantly, his revered teachers from those early days. They're gone.
The passage of time.
This striking personal shift from seeking external intervention to arriving with a quiet, profound internal understanding, it really underscores a crucial point about the spiritual path. The quest evolved. It transformed. It went from a search for external validation or instantaneous transformation to something far more profound, internal, and enduring.
The focus shifted inward.
Deeply inward. He explicitly recounts spending decades studying extensively, trying to reconcile and understand these deep philosophies we've been discussing. It's a powerful testament, I think, to the fact that true, embodied understanding often requires sustained time, diligent effort, and the crucible of lived experience.
It's not just about a single, dramatic, external moment of revelation.
No. It was a gradual unfolding, a quiet internal alchemy that took place over years.
This narrative arc really raises an important question, doesn't it? Not just about the speaker's personal journey, but for all of us as seekers, no matter what our particular quest might be.
What's the question?
How often do we begin our own journeys, whether they're explicitly spiritual or maybe personal development, or even professional aspirations with similar expectations? Expectations of instant enlightenment, immediate mastery, or external solutions fixing everything.
I think it's very common.
It is. We might chase a new philosophy, a new guru, a new location, a new practice, a new system, only to eventually, and sometimes quite painfully, find that the real work, the true unfolding, is far more internal and gradual than we hoped.
It demands patience.
It demands sustained effort, patience, and often a fundamental shift in our own perception, rather than waiting for some dramatic external intervention. It's usually a journey of quiet, often almost imperceptible transformation, rather than an immediate, flashy revelation.
So, what struck me next in the source material, and perhaps it's the most profoundly paradoxical element, is this really unsettling insight shared by a local driver in Varanasi during the speaker's return visit.
Ah, yes, the driver's comments, very intriguing.
Very. The driver uttered two statements that, well, on the surface they seem utterly contradictory, yet they hold immense layered depth. First, he stated that in Varanasi, everybody is a guru.
Wisdom everywhere.
Right. Suggesting this pervasive, almost palpable wisdom in the city's very air and among its people. It implies that insight and teaching can be found in the most unexpected places, for the most ordinary individuals, like a kind of collective, embodied wisdom emanating from the ancient city itself.
A living library of sorts.
Perhaps. But then, in stark contrast, he immediately followed this up with, Varanasi is a cremation ground,
Whoa, quite the juxtaposition.
isn't it? Implying that it's all dead people, a place overwhelmingly associated with death and the end of life.
So everyone's a guru, but it's also a place of death.
Exactly. So what does this all mean? How can a place be simultaneously a boundless source of universal living wisdom where everyone is a potential teacher, where every interaction holds a lesson, and also a place so deeply associated with death? A cremation ground, teeming with the departed.
It forces you to think.
It really does. We're asked to unpack this profound paradox. What does it truly mean for a place often seen as the ultimate destination for liberation, where one supposedly escapes the cycle of rebirth, to also feel dead to life? To worldly engagement, is there a subtle danger here?
A danger in seeking liberation from life.
Perhaps. A danger that in trying to transcend it entirely, to escape its perceived messiness and impermanence, we might inadvertently miss the very divinity, the very sacredness in it.
That in seeking to avoid death, we might paradoxically end up avoiding the fullness of life itself.
That's the unsettling question it raises.
Building on that really compelling paradox, what this truly signifies, I think, if we connect it to the broader implications of liberation, is a fundamental challenge to our very definition of what liberation even means.
How so?
Well, is it an exit strategy from existence, a kind of ultimate escape from the human condition, from its joys and its sorrows, its birth and its death?
The get-out-of-jail-free card.
Sort of. Or is it, as the source material powerfully suggests, a deeper, more radical immersion into existence itself? It seems to propose an embracing of life so complete, so unreserved, that even its apparent end, death, loses its sting.
It becomes just another part of the flow.
Exactly. It becomes simply another aspect of the sacred flow, a continuous, integral part of the unfolding mystery. The driver's seemingly contradictory comment hints at this profound realization that true awakening might not be about transcending life's messiness or its mortality at all.
But embracing it.
Embracing it so fully, understanding it so deeply, and living it so consciously that even death becomes just another moment within the boundless, non-dual reality. This perspective suggests that the deepest liberation doesn't come from avoidance, but from total, fearless engagement with all of life, including its end.
Total fearless engagement. That's quite a call. Our deep dive now brings us towards its powerful climax, really echoing the profound conclusion found in our source material. The speaker shares that his experiences, including those transformative conversations on the Ghats, taught him an undeniable truth.
Which is?
That the ultimate search, the real undeniable quest, is fundamentally internal.
Back to the inside.
Always back to the inside. He describes how the quest for I am that, or I am this that, search for true identity, for ultimate truth, for the very essence of being back, it inevitably forces one back upon themselves. This isn't a search for something outside, some external answer hidden somewhere, or some charismatic person who's going to reveal it all to you.
No quick fixes there either.
No. It's a journey into the most intimate, yet often unexplored landscape imaginable. The intricate depths of your own being, your own consciousness.
And that can be daunting territory.
Incredibly so. To truly discover yourself, to begin peeling back the layers of conditioned identity, it forces you to confront your own mind. Your past experiences, your memories, both good and bad, your aspirations and dreams, your fears, your anticipations for the future, everything.
The whole package.
The whole package. And this process is rarely comfortable. In fact, it can be deeply challenging, as it requires you to look honestly and unflinchingly at everything you've collected, identified with, and believed yourself to be over the years.
It takes courage.
It does. It's a profound journey into the intricate landscapes of your own consciousness. A place where you can no longer truly rely on external gurus or specific sacred locations or miraculous dips in a sacred river to provide the ultimate answers. The quest becomes this singular, focused channel of energy directed relentlessly inward, described in the source as deeper and higher than searching for a boat or searching for a man who may or may not be alive.
That puts it powerfully. The search turns from outwards to inwards.
Utterly. It's a profound recognition that the ultimate wisdom, the true source of answers, resides not somewhere out there, but powerfully within.
This profound shift really raises an incredibly important question for each of us living today, doesn't it? In a world that constantly pushes us outward for solutions, for validation, for affirmations from others, for quick fixes to our internal discomfort.
Which is basically modern culture.
Pretty much. How challenging, yet ultimately how liberating is it to reorient that entire search inward, to cultivate the trust that the answers, the truth, the very essence of who you are can indeed be found by looking deeply within your own experience.
It's a call to profound self-reliance.
Yes, but not in an isolated, individualistic sense. It's more in the understanding that the self, when deeply explored, reveals its inherent interconnectedness with the whole. By truly exploring the one, the individual self, you inevitably uncover the other, the universal.
So the inward journey reveals the connection to everything.
That seems to be the implication. This inner quest, as the speaker's journey beautifully illustrates, demands immense courage, unwavering honesty, and sustained attention. It's not a weekend workshop.
No, it's a life's work, perhaps.
No.
Which leads us beautifully to a final, powerful paradox of identity presented in the Source. One that really encapsulates this non-dual understanding we've been circling around.
Okay, the final paradox.
In confronting your inner world, in this deep dive into your own consciousness, you are faced with a profound choice. Or perhaps, more accurately, a profound realization. On one hand, you might come to the understanding that you are none of these transient things.
None of the thoughts, feelings, memories.
Exactly. None of your fleeting memories, none of your passing dreams, none of your ever-changing past selves or future projections. You are not defined or limited by these ephemeral experiences.
That's the path of letting go, of disidentification, realizing the unconditioned self, the pure awareness.
Yes. Or, conversely, and this is where it gets really interesting, coming back to the very essence of understanding, to the fundamental ground of being, you can say you are all of these and more.
Ah, the embrace. Not just negation, but affirmation, too.
Precisely. You are simultaneously the pictures and the frame. You are the art pieces and the canvas upon which they are painted. You contain it all.
Okay, so unpack that a little. How can you be none of it and all of it?
Well, this is the essence of the non-dual concept, isn't it? The profound realization that you are not just the individual part, the single drop in the Ganges, but you are also the entire boundless whole, the entire river. You are simultaneously a new person, transformed by every experience and insight, continuously evolving. And yet, fundamentally, you are also the same unchanging awareness, the same one who began the quest years ago, still searching, still exploring, still growing.
The witness and the witnessed, perhaps.
In a way, the seeker who walked through the Ghats, searching for some enlightened being, searching for a great one, ultimately discovers the Enlightenment not as some separate entity to be found outside, but as an inherent quality within the continuous search itself, within the very act of living and perceiving consciously.
So the journey, therefore, isn't just towards a destination.
The journey is the destination. The process is the goal.
What this truly illuminates, then, if we connect it to the broader understanding of liberation, is that true wisdom isn't about discarding aspects of yourself or denying parts of your experience or trying to suppress any emotion or memory.
It's not about becoming perfect in that sense.
No, instead it's about realizing the infinite, all-encompassing nature of who you truly are. An identity that embraces all your experiences, all your memories, your flaws, your strengths, and even all your future possibilities within that vast, non-dual awareness.
It's all included.
Everything is included. The search, as the speaker concludes with such profound simplicity, is always on.
It doesn't end.
It doesn't seem to. And it will continue precisely because the self is not a fixed, static destination to be reached once and for all, like finding a treasure chest and the quest is over. It is an unfolding mystery, an ever-revealing truth, a dynamic dance of presence and becoming that continues throughout life.
That's a much more dynamic view of awakening.
It is. And this understanding invites a lifelong, perhaps even joyful, engagement with the process of discovery itself.
As we bring our deep dive into these really profound conversations on the Ghats to a close, the central takeaway feels strikingly clear. And it's a powerful personal invitation for each of us listening. The spiritual quest. It's not a finite destination to be reached at some point where all striving ceases, nor is it an escape from the world's challenges and its undeniable beauty.
It's not checking out.
Not at all. Instead, it seems to be a continuous inward journey of seeing, of perceiving the pure amidst the muddy, of finding the sacred in the seemingly everyday, and ultimately of realizing your boundless, non-dual nature in every single moment, no matter what life presents to you.
Seeing things as they are, within you and around you.
Exactly. So if the search is always ongoing, if the sacred is always present, not just in distant lands or ancient rituals, but woven into the very fabric of your ordinary existence, here's a final thought for you to take with you. What is the one thing in your muddy life right now that challenge, that imperfection, that difficult circumstance, maybe that seemingly mundane routine, what is the one thing you could choose to see, truly see, perhaps for the first time, as sacred?